everything has always been predicated on what you do. Don't listen to the empty words of Christianity telling you otherwise. You must understand that you will reap what you sow. And so if the kingdom is something you reap, it's going to be because of what you did. It says God's not mocked. You're going to reap what you sow. You're not going to reap what you said or what you claimed. You're going to reap what you did. So people say, well, I made an altar call. All an altar call would be is making a claim. Okay, you're pledging, claiming, saying what I don't know what people do. I never did one. But whatever it is, it's a claim. It's not an actual life action. Yeah, you had to get up out of your chair and walk up there or whatever, but that's not a life behavioral action. What'd you do afterwards? That's what's going to matter. I mean, anybody can claim they're a child of the living Elohim and then act in any which way they want to act, and act the fool, act stupid, act whatever. The point of the Spirit is to prove what is pleasing to the Master. Is that happening on Sundays? Is that what the teachers are teaching? That you should prove what's well-pleasing to the Master? Or are you well-pleased that the Master did it all for you? See, because I hear a lot of them, and I listen every now and then to people screaming and yelling from the podiums on Sundays, and mostly they're trying to encourage you that you should just feel good about yourself because it's all, it's either Satan's fault or Messiah did it for you, so hey, you're all good, celebrate. But are they ever focused on what's well-pleasing to the Master? What does the Master want you to do? He wants you to believe in Jesus. Okay, so let's say I do that. What is that supposed to do transformatively, though? What am I supposed to do? Belief is not an action. Now, belief can turn into an action. If I believe what the Master, what I know what's pleasing to him, then I believe that's pleasing to him, then I can say I need to do it because it pleases him. But just believing in something is not an action. But he goes, but all matters being looked at, checked out. Reproved has another, prove what it is. You're trying to hear the word reprove, saying, I looked at it to prove whether it's good or bad, appropriate or inappropriate, right? I'm looking at it. And how do I know to look at it? It has to be manifested by light. I got to compare it in the light. I got to see it as it is. This is a light-darkness thing, right? Then he goes, whatever is manifested is now clearly seen. Not just whatever's manifested is light, meaning it's good. It's now clearly seen. You now can see it. You know what to do with it. Because what manifests may be bad stuff, but now you at least see it. This is part of what Abba does in your life all the time. He's bringing stuff out. He's manifesting it out of your life so you can deal with it. He's exposing it. When you had, back in the old days, when you had film, when light hit it, it did what? It exposed the film. If somebody's hiding in the dark and they step out where there's enough light, they're now exposed where people can see them. Okay, if you want to help somebody, don't sound like you're attacking them. Make it constructive. Hey, I really care about you. You may not be aware of this, but, and then share whatever it is that you want to share with them. But you should want to know. And your first reaction should be, I wonder if that's true, instead of, that's not true. Because your first reaction is almost always an attack back, which is really a counterattack because it's a defense mechanism. Okay, your defense is to counterattack. Oh yeah, well, your breath ain't great either. Now, let's say that's true. Let's say the other person has the same problem. Then you say, I really appreciate that. I hadn't realized that. And by the way, I've been hesitant to tell you, and you have the same problem. There's a different way to go about it. First, own, receive, before you then go the other way. We have way too much pride and ego to receive that kind of correction. Constructive information. We'll just call it, instead of criticism, call it constructive information. But you got to wake up from the dead. See, most of us are just robotically, mechanically going through our sort of just being what we are. We're not growing, we're not thinking about it, we're just going through the motions, and you're basically dead. Tony Robbins calls this being in state. Okay, you have the state that you're in, and it's just the way you are, the way you are, the way you are. Instead of choosing the state you're in, or choosing to be in a different state than everybody else. And what he compares that to is the advantage that the few awake people have to do things while all the other asleep people are around them. When you're asleep, do you have a lot of choices? Do you have a lot of awareness? Are you paying attention to anything? You're asleep. So you're missing everything else. If you're asleep and you're in a room and things are happening in that room around you, but you're asleep, you don't know. You're not paying attention. You're missing everything. If you're in this room now, you missed half of what I said if you were asleep. So whatever's happening when you're asleep, you miss a lot. So those that are awake have huge advantages because they don't miss all that stuff, because they're awake. Now notice he didn't just say that you walk exactly, because then people get all anal about Shabbat and this and that and whatever kashrut. They're going to get overly focused on just that part. He says, no, I want you to do it with wisdom. I do want you to be exact, But the point is the wisdom more than the technical part. I want you to technically be right, but use wisdom. You know why I use wisdom? Because some things don't fit into the technical rules exactly. So it requires wisdom. So if you're trying to be well-pleasing and there's a situation that looks a little gray to you, you're gonna go lean on the direction of conservative. This is, I'm not even gonna push the envelope here, okay? Wisdom is how you handle those moments. You don't need wisdom to know that you shouldn't go to work on Shabbat. That's a straightforward thing. But there are other things that you may be tempted to do on Shabbat that I'm not really sure what to do here. We get those calls all the time. By the way, he says, if you're awake and you rise from the dead, it says, then Messiah can shine on you. So what does shine on you mean? I don't know. What has he been talking about just prior to this? Illuminating, lighting up, exposing, showing you. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet. Psalm 119, right? It illuminates, it shines so you can see. So Messiah, do we know what Messiah is? Let's see, I know he's the way. So the way will shine on us. He's the truth, he's life, he's the word. Got all these things that he is, and that's gonna be illuminated to you. But you gotta be awake. Why do you have to be awake? Because you'll miss it. You won't receive it if you're asleep. He says, so we'll rise from the dead and Messiah will shine on you. So notice what it says here. So redeeming the time because the days are wicked. Well, don't just read it that way, like I have to read it time because wickedness is happening around you, because that was always the case, wasn't it? What he's trying to say is time's short. Redeem that time. Don't waste any more time because the times are wicked. And if you don't focus and go back to sleep, you'll end up in wickedness because that's where you'll drift into in your sleep state. He said the times are wicked. He could have said that at any time. We could say it now. We could have said it before Paul wrote this. You could say it after Paul wrote this. All right, times are wicked, which means that if you don't wake up, that's where you end up. You're gonna drift into wickedness. Redeem the time. How do you redeem the time? Stop wasting so much time. Make better use of your time. Be more effective with your time. But for all of you, you're in that place you're in and stay in that place because that's what you focus on. Well, I don't know what to do. You have to find some way to redirect your focus. I challenged everybody the other day. Every morning you wake up, every night before you go to bed, force yourself to write down or come up with and say out loud 10 things that you appreciate in your life right now. Well, I can't come up with 10. Yes, you can. Force yourself to sit there till you come up with 10. Even if it's just the idea that you're awake making this list, okay, and that you're not dead yet. Come up with something. And it'll get easier and easier when you start doing it. And you don't have to come up with different ones each day, although you should challenge yourself to see if you can come up with some new ones. And try to feel the appreciation and the gratitude for those things. Focus on those things. What does one flesh mean? When Yeshua in John 17 says, my Father and I are one. And I want you guys to be one like we're one. Echad doesn't mean like they're the same being. It means that we're on the same page. To be one flesh means that we agree. We figured out with expectations how to agree so that we function efficiently and effectively as one, even though we're two. A lot of wives and husbands don't have that, certainly not at the beginning. And so there's a lot of fighting. And there's always that push towards almost getting divorced. And if you can get past that, you can have a great marriage because then you finally got to that edge of dealing with your junk so you can finally actually fix things. Sometimes you got to go right to that edge. The goal is to be echad. This cause, a man's going to leave and the two are going to become one.